Good morning, students. So today we are going to discuss about the construction technique, that is Caisson construction. So this is the one of the most important construction technique that need to be clearly understood. So before getting into the construction procedures, to start with, let us understand first what is a caisson. See, caisson is nothing but a type of foundation which is in the shape of the box, and this foundation is built above the ground level and then it is sunk to the required depth as a single unit. So caisson is nothing but a foundation which is built in the form of the box above the ground level, and after constructing the box above the ground level it is sunk into the required depth as a single unit. So mostly all these watertight chambers are referred to as the caisson, and this is a method for laying the foundations under the water. So that is why I'm telling it is sunk to the required depth. So this type of foundation is used for laying the this type of technique is used for laying the foundations under the water, as in the lakes, rivers, seas and the ocean. So it is a watertight chamber which is used for laying the foundations under the water. So here we can classify this caisson into three types. One is open caisson. The second one, it is called the pneumatic caisson, and the third one, it is called as the floating or the box caisson. So let us understand clearly each type of the caissons one by one and its construction sequence. So now let me move on to the next slide. So in this slide, let us briefly understand what are the three different types of the caissons. As I said, the first one is open caissons. See, open caisson is something which is of the box shape, and they will be open both at the top as well as at the bottom during construction. So these caissons, after they are built above the ground level, they are sunk into the position, and upon reaching its final positions under the water, the concrete seal is placed at its bottom in the water. Finally, the inside is pumped dry and it is filled with the concrete. So that we call it as the open caisson. The second one is called as the pneumatic caisson. See, the pneumatic caissons are also of the box shape, but they are closed at the top and they have a working chamber at the bottom, from which the water is kept off with the aid of the compressed air. So here the excavation is done in a dry environment, and the caisson sinks as you proceed with the excavation, and finally upon reaching the final locations at the desired depth, this working chamber is filled with the concrete. So in the later slides, we'll understand the entire construction process clearly. So here I'm just explaining briefly about the each types of the caisson. The last type, we call it as the floating or the box caissons. So these type of the caissons are also box shape. They are closed at the bottom and they are open at the top. So these type of the caissons are, it is closed at the bottom and it is open at the top. So these type of the caissons are also cast on the land, and it is launched in the water, and it is stowed to the side by means of the barges, and it is sunk into the position by filling it with the materials like the sand, gravel, concrete or the water. So these are the three different types of the caissons. Now we'll see what are the different materials which are used in the construction of the caissons. So we normally go for using timber, steel and reinforced concrete. So these are the materials which are used for constructing the caissons depending upon the importance and the magnitude of the job. So timber caissons are used very less nowadays than the steel or the reinforced concrete caissons. And if you take the steel caissons, they are made up of the steel skin plates, and they will have the internal steel frames and the concrete fill, and they are they give the necessary weight to aid in the sinking process. That is, the steel frames is there, and if you fill the concrete, that will give the necessary weight which will help in the sinking process. And they are like very faster when compared to the caissons which are built of the reinforced concrete. So the third type of the caisson is reinforced concrete caissons. So these type of the caissons utilize the concrete for the dual purpose. One is for giving the necessary strength, and the number two is the dead weight of the concrete is used for the sinking process. So here the concrete must be poured in the convenient heights which are called as the lift, and they should be queued for a mandatory period, and each lift is sunk into the position. So like usually when compared to the steel caissons, here the time required for the sinking operation is much more than compared to the steel caisson. But however, if you see, this concrete caissons are more economical than the steel ones, especially like if it is for the large jobs or the heavy jobs. So these are the three different type of the materials which are used in the construction of the caissons. So now we'll see what are the advantages of the caissons when compared to other methods of the deep foundations. So you can suggest caissons under these conditions. Suppose if the soil is containing large amount of boulders which prevents the penetration of the piles or the placement of the drilled piers, then the caisson could be recommended over there. And if you want to build a massive structure below the water which is subjected to the destructive forces due to the core, then this method can be suggested. If the structure is subjected to large magnitude of the lateral forces, then we can suggest this caisson method. So this caisson method is mainly, it is used as the foundation for the bridge piers and abutments in the lakes, rivers, seas, breakwaters, and in the shore protection works, and also for the large waterfront structures like the pump houses which are subjected to the huge vertical and the horizontal forces. And nowadays if you see, this pneumatic caissons are used as the foundations for large and tall multi-story buildings and other structures. So these are the advantages of the caissons.